Okay, so the last movie we're going to talk about before Infinity War is Black Panther, which I'm going to tell you right now, I have not rewatched. Every other Marvel film in this review series I just reviewed, I did just rewatch. Black Panther is the only exception because that one I saw a couple months ago and it's still, I just realized it's still in theaters, which is cool because it'll come out tonight when Avengers comes out too. It'll still be in the theaters. So I'm going to talk about the movie, but if I say anything wrong, that's the reason why. It's because I didn't just rewatch it, and it didn't come out on Blu-ray until May 15th. But I really wanted to talk about Black Panther because I'm a completionist, and I talked about it initially whenever it came out, but I want to talk about it again because of all the reviews I just did for every other one of the 17 Marvel movies that came out. God, I'm at 18 and 19 tonight with Avengers Infinity War. 19 Marvel films in 10 years. Man, that's insane. Wow. The more I think about it, man. So Black Panther is probably, this or Civil War is my favorite Marvel movie so far, because Black Panther is incredible. The way it's directed by Ryan Coogler, who directed Creed and Fruitvale Station. I have not seen Fruitvale Station, but I've seen Creed, and Creed was fantastic. One of the best films of 2015. One of the best ways to revitalize the Rocky franchise in a way where you would have thought this movie is not needed. Another movie after Rocky Balboa, which ended perfectly to me, but Creed was one of the best Rocky films, and I think it is incredible. And he is an incredible filmmaker and writer. Just the way that in both of these movies he does characters so well, and just making the film so well, like the way the movie's shot, the way it looks, he gets good people to help him out with these movies. It really works, and this is no exception. T'Challa was introduced in Civil War and was an absolute standout in that movie. And in this movie, he's just as great. He's still really great. I love his arc where his father's gone since he died in Civil War, and he realizes how his father has kept secrets from him, which is not a thing different from any other Marvel movie that's had this. Thor Ragnarok had that too, where the father had something that they kept secret, and it's not a good thing. But I thought that in this movie they did a really good job of that, of having Killmonger's father be killed for reasons, and you see how it happens, and you see the reason why, but it works really well just on the performances and how Chadwick Boseman is just awesome as this character. I think that he brings a lot of emotion to this, just like he did in Civil War. And I thought whenever he goes to the ancestral plane, where he talks to his father, since he's already gone, and he talks to him a couple times in this movie about why he did this horrible thing, and then you realize that there's not really, he's got reasoning for it, but you don't know if it justifies that. And I like when a movie does that with the character, where you don't know if they do a wrong choice, but you don't know if they should be justified or not. And I think that it works well in this sense, in this movie. Chadwick Boseman is awesome, like I said, and the absolute standout for me, and I'm not saying that this is any way bad for Chadwick Boseman, but Michael B. Jordan, I think, his character Eric Killmonger is the best thing about this movie, and I think the hero is awesome in this movie. With the villain, Marvel always usually has this villain problem for the most part, where the villains can just be okay or bland, even if they got good actors involved. But this one, I think this is one of the best and most charismatic villains out of all of them. Michael B. Jordan is fantastic in this movie, and he was in Creed too, and he was fantastic in that. But he is incredible in this movie. His performance is gripping, and the way he's written is really fantastic. He's the one who is left on Earth because his father is murdered, or killed because of doing something wrong with T'Challa's dad, and I think that it really, really is so strong with his character development and how he is a villain. Well, a villain, again. I love how these Marvel movies do it to where they're not completely villains. you see why. And I love how this guy comes into Wakanda, this secret place where nobody can go unless they're actually Wakandan, and he is. I like that. I like the fact that he recruits Claw, who's in Age of Ultron 2, played by Andy Serkis, is brought into this too, where they work together to try to get into Wakanda, even though by the end, Claw gets murdered by Killmonger. Like, but still, I think it's cool how desperate this character is, and I liked how the performance was just fantastic, and I think that because of the writing, it works so well because you see why this character who is left here, not on Wakanda, dealing with real life struggles of African Americans. I really, really love that idea because of the horrible things that have happened in the past with and how African Americans are treated being slaves. I think that it's really amazing at how this movie interprets that because you see Killmonger's comes into Wakanda, this place where African Americans are treated wonderfully well. They've never had any problems with anything, and in that sense, in like a sense like in real life. But whenever a real life person comes in and is pissed and royally angry that like I could be part of this wonderful place that does not have slavery and does not have oppressed people. I really love that. I love his dynamic of coming in and saying like, where were you guys whenever whenever there were riots, where we were treated like nothing, where we were treated horribly, and whenever in the end scene, whenever T'Challa and Killmonger have that final scene before Killmonger dies, they can bring him back, and T'Challa says, I can keep you alive, and then Killmonger says, nah. So then you can put me in prison. Now I'll just die just like all the people who jumped off ships and all the people who died in slavery. and it is so incredibly just heartbreaking because this character comes from a real life thing and goes into this world where African Americans were not treated horribly, and I love the fact that we've got that real life dynamic here, and having an African American director works because he just really brings this great interpretation of how horrible it has been in real life with our ancestors, and why I love how he shows that and interprets that into this movie in real life situations, which makes this incredible just how the real life dynamics work, and it makes him such an incredibly relatable villain. And even though not African American, I feel like I completely get the horrible circumstances of what has always happened in the past, and I loved how this character was interpreted. He was an absolute standout and one of the best. He might be the best villain in all of the Marvel movies. I think he probably is. The more I'm thinking about it, because of the real life thing and because of just the performance, like it just is outstanding. It's horrifying the way that this character is to people, how he kills people, how he looks at the world, how he looks at how he hasn't gotten his right to be part of this world and been part of the world where everything horrible has happened to African Americans. I love that. That is such a crazy great dynamic, and it is incredible. He just is an absolute standout. He is the best part of this movie, and the movie is fantastic anyways. It is absolutely fantastic, but he is the best part. I love this actor and this performance so much, and the writing was just so incredible. But it's great, and the movie also. And I'm not saying that this copies it, and it doesn't. It just has a Lion King vibe about Prince wanting to be a king, or becoming a king. And it's got imagery that is very similar to Lion King, which Lion King used a lot of African type of similarities to it. And I love the idea that this movie, too, is very, from what I think, and I don't know much about, like I don't know every single thing about African culture, but I feel like this looks pretty authentic, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks really authentic. The way that they, in Wakanda, the way that they, what they wear, like wearing the big the big mouth thing or mouth ring or like the way they do the dance, like all these things are interpreted from African culture, and it's cool how authentic it is, and how just wonderful these all these characters are. Um, all these side characters are really great too. I thought Lupita Nyong'o was great as Nakia, and it was kind of a romantic thing, but kind of not, where they were kind of together, but it didn't harp on it, which is great. You don't have to do that same thing again. Akoya, bald leader lady, like she is badass, awesome. I loved her in this movie. Um, I love how whenever she interacts with anybody, she's just a badass, just one of the coolest characters in the whole movie, one of the most badass. And then Shuri, I think, is awesome. Like, she and T'Challa have such a great brother-sister dynamic, which actually, like, feels so legitimate. They feel like real brother and sister, and they're hilarious together. They've got great chemistry with each other. Everybody else is great, too. Angela Bassett's great. Daniel Kaluuya is great. Martin Freeman's great. He returns from Civil War. He's good too. Andy Serkis as Claw is batshit insane. He's funny. I thought it was a ballsy move that he's already dead. Like they killed him off in this movie, and he's only been in two Marvel movies. That's interesting, but I just think that, and the story is just awesome. Just having this guy from the outside world come into Wakanda, wanting what he deserves, or what he feel like he deserves, and I think that he is so humanized. The scene where he goes in the astral plane, like how T'Challa does with his father at the beginning, Killmonger does that with his actual father, and it is one of the most emotional scenes in the whole movie, and in most Marvel movies. It just is really hard to watch in a great way because of the performances and the writing. This one is just a standout, great first movie. And I know that he was in Civil War, but this is a fantastic first Marvel movie, and it is one of the highest rated Marvel movies now, overall. So, and I completely agree with that, and I just love this movie. It's between this and Civil War. I don't know which one to choose. They're both really fantastic for different reasons, but I love this movie. And now I've talked about all the Marvel movies. I'm ready to go see Avengers Infinity War. So, review will hopefully be up tonight. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.